Well, good afternoon. I hope there we go. That's better. So I'm doing these recordings with the whiteboard a little differently than I do some of the other videos. So sorry if the sound is a little off. It's just how I've got to do it at the moment. So anyway, today we're going to talk about prep. And we're going to talk about doing it yourself and what it takes to get up a warehouse and start running with a warehouse. And we're also going to talk about potentially the option for you to let me do your prep. And first I want to talk about the thing with prep is I really think that when you're first getting started, you should do your own prep, if at all possible. With some of you, that's not possible because you're overseas, you live in a location where you can't receive a lot of boxes and ship a lot of boxes, you rent an apartment, you live in a major city, whatever. There's a lot of issues where sometimes you just can't do your prep starting out. I get that. But if you have the opportunity to do your own prep starting out, do it because it'll keep your costs lower. And while you will spend more time working and learning, you're going to actually learn what it takes to do prep. And you're going to have a lot more insight into the products that you buy. For example, sometimes we buy products because we have our own warehouse and we get them into the warehouse and look at them and say, well, maybe we shouldn't have bought this. We're not going to do it again. So then we turn around, we don't buy it again. We send it in, we do the prep that's needed, we write it off as a loss because it takes too much time to prep. So, there are benefits to doing prep on your own. But the issue is as you grow, you're going to reach a point where doing prep on your own is going to actually hold your business back. And I'm only talking to you about this if you're really interested in growing and scaling your business. If it's a good side income for you, that's perfect. And, more power to you, and continue to do your own prep if you're doing it. If you have somebody else do it, great. But if you really want to scale your business, you're going to find that it's difficult to scale past about $20,000 or $30,000 a month without either hiring somebody to do prep or farming it out. And what I want to talk about today is the actual cost of doing prep. There's a lot of costs involved when you start to do prep on a big scale. And by big scale, I mean warehouse, employees, all that kind of stuff. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the nitty-gritty and actual numbers of what I spend on a monthly basis just to get my own prep done. And then we're going to talk about how that applies to you. So I have my trusty markers. We're going to go for this. So the first thing we want to talk about is with prep, sometimes it's really helpful to have a commercial address. And the reason it's helpful is because you're going to get better shipping rates for the companies that are shipping product to you. They can ship LTL. They don't have to charge $75 to $100 for the lift gate fee if they're shipping you a pallet load. When you start to order larger quantities, they're going to want to ship in a pallet because a pallet is going to be a lot cheaper than shipping at UPS or FedEx. Oftentimes half as much, depending on where it's coming from and what's shipping, sometimes a quarter. So actually shipping in pallet loads is a good idea, but you've got to have a commercial address really to do that. Some companies also won't work with you unless they're shipping to a commercial address. So working from a commercial address with an actual warehouse and a loading dock is beneficial in the long run because you're able to work with a lot more clients and work with a lot more suppliers because they're willing to work with you because they see you as legitimate. So the first thing we want to talk about is the warehouse. The actual space. This depends a lot, the price of this depends a lot on where you are and what's available to you. Currently, we rent about 2,000 square feet. We do all of our prep out of around 2,000 square feet. We currently pay just a little over $1,000. It's actually $1,200 a month. Roughly, it's a few dollars off, but that's about what I figure. So it's $1,200 a month. See, with commercial space, they bill it a set number of dollars. If you look in, there's a couple websites out there where you can see what the going rate for commercial space is in your area. It's a set number of dollars per square foot. And what that is it's the set number of dollars. You pay that every year, but it's over 12 months. So if it's $6 a square foot, it's going to be $6 per square foot. So if you rent 1,000 square feet, it's going to be $6,000 over the course of the year, or $500 for a month. Now, for us, that $1,200 actually includes utilities because I work in a building where there's only 1 meter. So I actually get a little discount because, we don't have to pay utilities. Sometimes utilities can add up another $300 or $400 a month, depending on what it is. Remember, it's a commercial address, so it's commercial billing. So just the standard hookup fees are going to be more every month. They just bill more for commercial hookups. Whatever reason, they think that businesses can take it. And quite honestly, if you're going for a warehouse, you probably can. The next thing you need to understand is you're going to have boxes and supplies. A warehouse does not work by just being an empty building. You actually have to have things to pack with. You have to get tape. You have to get extra boxes. You have to make sure you have pallets on hand. You have to have poly bags, or you have to have a commercial shrink wrap machine and shrink wrap. There are multiple products that you have to get in order to actually run. And I'm not talking about one-time purchases here. I'm just talking about the replenishables that you use on a monthly basis, just in prepping product. So the supplies, we're going to add dashes here just because. So supplies for me run about $1,800 a month. And I'm very particular about what I buy, and we're very careful. We actually used to spend more. It's very easy to spend a lot on supplies. Now, we do use a lot of our own boxes that we buy instead of reusing. Oftentimes, that's because when people ship to you LTL to have the cheaper shipping rates, they don't necessarily pack everything into really big boxes. They just pack it into smaller boxes and then just pile those boxes on the pallet. So you end up having to use a lot more of your own boxes. It's something that you end up having to work into as you scale. But it's also something where using our own boxes that are all standard size actually speeds up the packing process. So it's kind of a trade-off. We trade off and spend more on supplies, but we end up saving in the long run because we don't have to spend as much time putting stuff in boxes and having all different custom size boxes and all that when we're actually setting up shipping plans. So that's those two. The next one, you're going to have somebody do it for you, because if you're starting a warehouse, you need to have somebody, you need to hire somebody, you need employees. Now, I think that's right. I probably misspelled it. Now, with employees, this is also going to vary depending on your current location and what the going rate for labor is. I know some people who are on the West Coast who can't get labor for less than $18 or $20 an hour. In Chicago, it's the same thing, $18, $20 an hour. And that's before all of the fees and added taxes that you have to pay as an employer. Employers pay an extra 10 to 15% beyond what the check goes to the employee. So if you're paying somebody $15 an hour, the employer is actually costing them $18 to $20 an hour. And that's not including time off, vacation time, sick time, any kind of paid benefits that you decide to do. That's just what you pay the government for unemployment insurance, the additional 7.5% Social Security, all of the other fees and whatnot that you have to pay. So employees actually get paid. They get paid more than what their paycheck says. So say you've got somebody that you hire $15 an hour. We're just going to say $18 an hour and 40 hours a week, because that's pretty standard. You won't get 40 hours of work out of them because you have to account for lunch breaks and other breaks in there. You have to figure that there's going to be some time seepage that happens, just, people standing around gabbing, because that does happen, and that's okay. You just have to understand you're not going to get 100% efficiency. So 40 hours a week, we're going to figure 18. I'm going to need a calculator on this one. 40 times 18. And then we're going to times that by 4. That's 2,900. I'm going to round up $20. It's $28.80, but it's 2,900. Okay, what else do you need? Well, you're going to need to outfit your space. You're going to need to buy printers. You're going to have to buy a computer for the space. You're going to have to buy some extra stuff just to get the space up and running. We're not going to count that. We're just going to count the monthly expenses for the moment. We'll get into some of the other stuff. So this right here is 5,900. That's for one employee. If you add a second, it jumps up to $9,000. Add a third, once again, it jumps up. Meanwhile, this supplies is going to move too. And as you grow and scale, you're probably going to need more space. This is for one person. You know how much that one person gets done for me? Between 7,000 and 8,000 units every single month. That's about what my one person does. And quite frankly, we make good money off that. Now, that being said, 7,000 to 8,000 units a month, $6,000. What does that total out? Now I want to know. We're just going to figure 8,000 units. 6,000 divided by 8,000. That's 75 cents a unit. Now, here's why I bring all this up. I know this video is going to be a little bit longer, but I wanted to explain what it actually costs. This doesn't include all of the other stuff that you're going to spend. So you're going to have to buy a computer and printer. You're going to have to get tech. You're going to probably spend $1,500 to start. You're going to have workspaces, either countertop or some sort of work area to do the prep on. That's going to be realistically, depending on what you buy, we've got probably $3,000 in just furnishings back there. But you know, starting out, we didn't have that, so we're just going to say 1,000. On top of that, you're going to have things like a pallet jack. That's another, $200 to $300. You can buy a used one if you shop on Craigslist for a little bit less if you want to get a start out. On top of this, you're also going to have, we have a commercial shrink wrap machine, and that saves us a lot of time, and it actually minimizes that supply number. We save probably $400 to $600 a month in supplies because we use heat shrink and shrink wrap instead of a lot of the poly bags. Saves us on stickers, saves us on the poly bags because they're more expensive. But that machine, when I bought it, was $3,000. And if you're going to buy a newer model, I bought an old clunky model. If you're going to buy a newer model, it's going to be potentially, depending on what you get, about the same. So just for the supplies to start out, you're going to be looking at $5,700. Ignore my bad penmanship. Now, here's why I bring all this up. I've decided I'm going to do some prep. And I'm not going to open this up to everybody right away, mostly because I don't have the space or the time or the manpower to do everybody's prep. But I am going to slowly open it up, and I'm going to slowly scale. What's in it for me? Well, what's in it for me is that employee number is going to go up as I start to do prep for other people. So I'm going to start spending more on prep. But some of the other numbers don't go up. So I'm going to make a little bit of money. You can't blame me. That's what I'm doing this for. You make a little bit of money. Hopefully that brings my own prep costs down because I'm using space more efficiently. It also helps me to get my own prep out. So if I have a couple extra people in there and they're all doing everybody's prep, when my prep comes in, it gets turned around a lot quicker. Right now, it's a pallet a day or so to get moved through. And when we have 4 or 5 pallets getting delivered on a given day, which does happen, that takes 4 or 5 days for a single person to work through because it's, a couple thousand units. Now, I'd like to get my own prep times down, and if I do more prep and more volume, I'll be able to do that because my stuff will just be cycled through with everybody else's. Everybody else's will just jump in line. So, what am I going to charge for this? Well, here's the deal. See this 75 cents a unit? That's what I charge. But that's not the only thing, because the thing is sometimes prep is a lot simpler, and I want to reward people for sending me simple prep that's easy to do. And, quite frankly, sometimes 75 cents a unit is pushing it, and it should be more. It's a flat rate. So what I'm doing is 75 cents a unit or $50 an hour, whichever is cheaper for you. So if you send me stuff that is really easy to do, it's going to be a lot less than the 75 cents a unit. If you send stuff that's a little more complicated, that 75 cents a unit all-in rate for standard size stuff is going to apply. So you have a cap on what you're going to get charged, but you could get charged less. Currently, I've been doing prep for a couple people just on a test basis, and we've been running numbers between 45 and 65 cents a unit. So that's currently what we're getting as far as per unit. Now that number could change depending on what you send, so there's no guarantees. But the reason I add this $50 an hour, if you notice over here, that's 160 hours in a month. So 160 this is approximately $36 an hour. And that's at peak efficiency. And like I said, we've got lunch breaks, we've got other breaks, smoke breaks. You've got all the breaks involved. You're not going to get 160. I'm happy if I get 120, 130. There's that much time that sometimes just gets worn off. So at 120, that's real close to that 50 an hour. I'm not upcharging much. But what I am doing this for is because of volume. Now, here's the deal. Sometimes people will get you on bundles and multi-packs and all that kind of stuff. Well, we're going to do just a straight up 75 cents a unit. And if you add in, if you say you want to do 2 pieces in a unit, we know we're going to have to polybag that or shrink wrap it. That's just something we know. 2 or 3 units, bundles, whatever. We can do that. We do a ton of that ourselves. So I'm all about doing it, and I'm all about getting it done efficiently. Most of these 7,000 to 8,000 units are bundles and multi-packs. That's a lot of what we do. We polybag and shrink wrap a ton of stuff. So what we're going to charge for that is just a straight up 15 cents for each additional unit in a package. Or 50 an hour, whichever is cheaper. If you send us stuff that's really easy to throw together into a multi-pack, you can still get really cheap prep for a multi-pack. If you send us stuff that's really easy and makes good sense going into a bundle, it's going to be a really cheap bundle to pack. So that's what I'm going for. I want to give you guys the best rates because I know some people out there really gouge for prep. And I don't feel like I want to do that, but I also do feel like I want to provide value and I want to get paid a little bit to do so. I'm sure you understand. Now, oversized stuff, this is a new venture for me. We haven't scaled it up. I have yet to put a price. Know this. Oversize will only go up really based on how many boxes we're using and how many of these supplies we end up having to use for oversize. Because sometimes oversize takes a lot of boxes. It takes special sized boxes. It takes some unique stuff. And so with oversized stuff, if you've got something that you're doing oversized prep with somebody else and you're interested in us giving you a rate let us know what you're currently getting charged. Ship us some once you fill out the form and we get back with you. And we're going to figure out a good rate that's reasonable and that will probably save you money just to get the business, at least to start. Like I said, I'm looking for volume because I have enough square footage. I have the capacity here to really crank out a lot of volume for a lot of people. And we've been doing our own prep for over 3 years. And we've got the system set up so that we know what we're doing when stuff comes in and we're able to do it. But I want to be able to do more volume and help other people with their prep and with their businesses as well. Now, what you get with this, we're hands-on. We like to do things personally. We like relationships. So we're not going to bring a lot of people in right away. We're probably going to pick people who are going to be doing a bit more volume and looking to scale simply because we like to do hands-on stuff. So with the people I'm currently with, I let them know, hey, this SKU is what caused us to take more time on your order. This is what we did with these products. And so this is why it took that long, that kind of information. All we do is we ask for you to send us an Excel sheet. When we get you set up, we'll have you send us information to log in as a kind of limited user on your Seller Central account. And because of the limited user status, we're able to set up all of the shipping. We do that the same way we do our own shipping. When you get to a point where you want to ship LTL into Amazon, we'll advise you whether we think that's a good idea or not and how much you're likely to save because of that. Like I said, we're looking to do volume. I want to be able to get my stuff turned around quickly, and I want to be able to get your stuff turned around quickly. Currently, we're sitting at like 2-day turnaround for stuff that we're prepping. Now, granted, we're starting out, so some of these prices may change over time. Also, if you're doing volume, we're going to look to give you a little bit better rate. We do have some wiggle room built in, especially if we can dedicate somebody to working for you in our own warehouse. But if you notice, that's about the same as what we're currently costing. We're not marking much up. What I'm going to end up making is by adding employees, I am going to decrease my other expenses. So I'm going to make up a bit more because you're not having to pay for rent. You're not having to pay for all of the supplies. And I can easily add employees and do that service for you. The other thing you get, you don't have to worry about managing people. You don't have to worry about that. It's all in one location. You just send stuff and you can be anywhere you want and you can do whatever you want. I'm currently tied down a bit because of my warehouse. If I were to do it over again, I might end up sending my stuff to someplace else to prep because then I would have the freedom to move wherever. The bigger I build my warehouse, the less likely I am to ever move it. And, I like the area I'm at, so I'm probably going to stay here. But, for some people, that's a big deal. I can't, for the longest time, I haven't been able to take, significant chunks of time off, 2 or 3 weeks at a time because I have to be here managing the warehouse. You're not going to have to worry about sick time or vacation time or disgruntled employees or payroll. It's just one bill and you're done. And I'm going to handle everything else from there. So that's my offer. If you're interested, fill out the form. I'm going to put this video into a Google form. I'm also going to have it on my YouTube channel, and there should be a link in the description, or I'll put it in a comment as to where to go to fill out the form. And we'll get back to you as we scale and as we grow this. I am looking to grow it. I am looking to scale this. And I'm looking to do so in a way that's going to benefit you and your business and help you scale and also help me. So if you want to work together, please let me know and we will go from there. And that's it. You guys have a wonderful day.